I want to bring in CTV News' Beth McDonnell, who is in the area, who has just landed. Beth, thank you for your time, and walk us through what you can see right now from your point of view.
Kayla, I'm standing right behind the Rainbow Bridge, and I can tell you that I've been here for about 20 minutes, and since I arrived, things have continued to change. So when I first arrived, just on the other side of that bridge, you could see a red flashing light. It looked like a road closure. That light is no longer signaling anymore. Here in Niagara Falls, though, I'm right on the platform overlooking the falls here, and things are looking pretty normal. People are still coming to the bridge, taking pictures. But as you approach Niagara Falls, as you come into the city, that's when you really get a sense, okay, something's happening. So you're seeing some of those highway closures that the OPP was just talking about. And when you arrive at the duty free, I was initially parked up there at the duty free to speak to people, and they started putting a perimeter around there, so asking people to leave that area. So myself included had to leave. So there are police in the area, there are road closures, but for the most part, it's not feeling like there's a major incident underway, although it is very serious what has transpired. A lot of people coming up to myself, coming up to other media, trying to get information. I was able to speak with a couple of Americans, one that walked over the bridge. Their car is actually on the other side. They decided to take the walk to look at the falls, and now they're here. Also spoke to another older couple who came for a day to enjoy the day. They just booked a hotel room. Also got a call from a friend in the United States who lives in Toronto. She went over today. She got stuck in traffic and has decided to book a hotel on the U.S. side as well. So people are learning that this may not be over very quickly, and they're basically making their choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth noting, too, that the Rainbow Bridge is very well known for it being one of the bridges that is very highly used by pedestrians as well as cyclists who cross on bike, in addition to vehicles that are used by day-to-day people as well as transport trucks. You noted that you were speaking to some individuals. Were those Canadians that happened to be on the Canadian side, or were there also Americans that were on the Canadian side that now won't be able to get back onto the U.S. side of the things until all of this subsides?
I spoke to two Americans on camera who told me they came for the day and are now stuck here in Canada. One walked across, one drove across. But I also had the chance to speak to a Canadian woman who's now stuck on the American side. I did speak to a couple other people who live in Niagara Falls, just very briefly. They're kind of running around trying to get information.
And as far as from your point, when you were approaching in your vehicle, could you talk to us just as far as the police presence and what you noticed, just how far back the police presence is going, or how relatively calm perhaps it might be depending on where you are until you get closer to the border?
I noticed 2 points driving from Toronto. There was one area of the highway that police had set up the ramp to the 405, several signs, several cars indicating that this ramp to Queenston-Lewiston would not be possible. And also, there's also signs as you approach Niagara Falls saying, heads up, these border crossings are closed in the area. When you actually arrive in downtown Niagara Falls, the police, the area, the perimeter I saw was around the duty free. So that's where a lot of these pedestrians and cyclists that you were talking about, that's where they come across to come into Niagara Falls, where that's that point. I'm just, right by the falls where lots of people take pictures. Right now there's no police, there's no security per se that I can see. People, they've allowed me to park right here. This is very close to the Rainbow Bridge itself and to the falls. People are still parking, coming up, and the street is very quiet. There's nothing too much happening here. It's not a super nice day, but like I said, the tourists are still here. Here's a woman that's just showing up now with her camera. So there's very much a sense of calm. There is no sense of panic. Driving in, it wasn't a normal drive to Niagara Falls. There are these checkpoints kind of type things happening, just alerting drivers that this is going on. So, and like I said, talked to a couple people just very, very briefly from Niagara Falls, just trying to get more information and about what's happening. Basically, people are kind of asking each other, "Do you know what happened? What's the latest?" That's kind of some of the talk among the people on the ground here.
Okay, great work. Thank you so much for your point of view. That's CTV Toronto's Beth McDonnell in Niagara. Thank you, Beth.